It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Jordan TAUB. He's the Executive Vice President of TAUB Products, a third-generation family-owned company that has been in the forefront of making unique dental restorative resins and dental lab materials since 1951. As a small company, TAUB Products manufactures restorative resins and implant restoration systems that are at the forefront of the dental technology and chemistry curve. Our problem-solving and unique products, combined with the ability to provide excellent customer service and support, give us great advantages over much larger companies. TAUB Products is proud to present Stellar DC Acrylic Pickup and Conversion Resin, Stellar Attachment Resin, Fusion Zinc Aesthetic Cements, Calcium Lock Light Cure Cavity Liners, Go Chlorhexidine Gel, Liquid Magic Resin, Barrier Plug for Access Holes, Zero G Bio Implant Cement. Perfect Stone Molds Company, a division of TAUB Products, has launched a brand new website to showcase its full line of product descriptions, uses, and instructions with high-resolution imagery. Perfect Stone offers provisional molds for making single tooth and full roundhouse arch designs in acrylic resins. Dentists and labs can use TAUB Minute stains to give these provisionals a life look with just a few brushstrokes of color and glaze overcoat. These stains dry in seconds, making application quick and easy. Perfect Stone also offers molds for making wax ponics. Trident Dental Instruments specialize in high-end satin finish and serrated surgical and dental forceps, scissors, extractors, rongeurs, dressings, tissue forceps, root elevators, crown and bridge place removers, mouth props, and more. They are always adding new instruments to their line. I could go on and on and on and on. By the way, I just want to always stress, this is not a commercial. No money is chased hands. Did I ask you to come on the show, or did you ask me?
You guys asked me.
That's right. And when I first saw your shirt, that FW, I thought to myself that it was WTF. I saw it backwards.
On the back side of my shirt, it actually says WTF.
Oh, does it really?
Yes.
So, hey, thanks for coming on the show. I always like dental men, and I'll tell you where this love comes from. When we were little, every time we went on vacation, me and my 5 sisters, Dad wanted to go to every amusement park known to man. In fact, when we went out to your neck of the woods, you're in New Jersey, he wanted to see Coney Island. You know, I mean, he was just that kind of Six Flags. And but all along the way, he stopped at any place that gave, any manufacturer that had a tour, we went to. And I saw them all, Coors, Budweiser. And I passed on the generation, this to my boys. They've been in probably, 100 dental manufacturing companies in 50 countries, and they loved it. And I always told dentists that the way you teach someone something is show, touch, feel. And in Europe, the difference between Europe and the United States is you go to the Cologne meeting, there's no lectures. They don't want to hear Gordon tell them what he thinks of your products. And in Europe, they all want to go talk to the owner. So when you go to the largest dental meeting in all of Europe, there's no lectures given. And then when I talk to my dental homies over there, they want to go talk to you because they're like, well, dude, this is your company. And in your case, like, it's obviously some genetic disease that runs from generation to generation. I mean, you guys been making dental products for 3 generations. So wouldn't, like, you know the most shit about your own company? I mean, why would it's kind of like when you're trying to pick a book for your elementary school, why do you need to call Washington, D.C. Department of Education? I mean, really? No one in Arizona can pick a reading book for a first grader? Really? So I love to introduce, and when I started Dental Town, I started Dental Town, not Dentist Town, because if all the dentists were on that site saying, God, it'd be so much nicer if that blue material was yellow. Well, hell, if Jordan doesn't know, how's he supposed to switch it to yellow? So I wanted the dental manufacturers and the dentists to all be on the same page. So thanks for coming on the show.
I appreciate the welcome.
Yeah. So am I pronouncing it right? TAUB Products?
TAUB. It's more of an owl.
So it's TAUB. TAUB,
yep.
Like an owl?
Yes.
Like a wise old owl. Jordan TAUB. So my question to you is, what are you passionate about today in dentistry?
Right now, it's the AllonX location. So I have a product that we introduced a couple of years ago called Stellar DC Acrylic. And it's found a niche market within this industry for immediate load, full arch dentistry. So it picks up and converts the full arch to the temp cylinders of the MUA implants.
So now which site are you talking about? Are you talking about taubdental.com, or are you talking about perfect mold, perfect one molds?
It's Perfectone. It's really TAUB Dental. My father, he's always been pushing Perfectone, but that's a secondary company that we have. It's pretty much absorbed. We have a second website for it. But TAUB Dental is the main company.
Well, says you.
Says me.
What does your dad say? And by the way, your dad has more Twitter followers than you. Your dad is Pupco Dental, and he has twice as much followers as you at lawrencetaub.com. So we're not going to throw Perfectone mold under the company, under the bus just yet. So if you go to taubproducts.com, where is this? So I would go to products.
You go to taubdental.com.
And then I
go to company's TAUB Products.
And then what you're most passionate about is Stellar DC Acrylic?
Stellar DC Acrylic.
Okay, I found it. The ultimate dual cure pickup resin, immediate load, full arch, PMMA polymethyl methacrylate.
That is correct.
Denture pickup and conversions, over denture attachment pickups, dual cure. So why does that got you excited?
It does it better than any of the other products on the marketplace right now for that specific procedure. The procedure itself is amazing. So you have these patients that have their teeth are ultra mobile. They're literally, they don't have any other options left. So they need to have these surgeries that put in a full arch prosthesis. And it's really it's like, I guess, dentures have done a full circle. Before it used to be dentures, you'd see the commercials for Polydent and you're like, oh, it's a denture. And then implants came out, and now it's back to the denture. So it's implant retained dentures, and it's just an amazing surgery. There's a lot that goes on in it, and it brings a smile back to people that otherwise would have nothing. So you have it either in these immediate load situations, or they're using overdentures.
And you have some pretty damn cool videos on YouTube channel. By the way, I want to tell you about your YouTube channel. I mean, when I was lecturing around the world 30 years ago, there was a big asymmetry of information between how the 20 richest countries did dentistry and the 50 poorest. Now right. It's just disappearing immediately. I mean, I was in Somalia, and this girl told me she watched 1,000 hours of YouTube learning how to do dentistry. And I mean, I would have let her do a root canal on me any day of the week. It is amazing. So if you go to YouTube, if you go to his website, Stellar Dentistry, he's got a YouTube video. You just click TAUB YouTube channel, Chrome cases. So that is just really, really cool. I got a buddy out here in my own backyard who is one of the best implantologists in town here, and he's never taken a course on it. He came home every night and would go to YouTube and Google implant surgery cases and just watch them all night. And it's just amazing what you can learn. So what else? So Stellar DC Acrylic has got you excited. Yeah. What else has got you excited?
So just the marketplace, just the fact that, we've been a small company for a long time and gone through the struggles after the 2009 housing crash, and that was a big struggle for us. So we also knew that the markets were changing, and we went into moved away from lab and went into more cosmetic and restorative materials, and that's been a long time coming, a long struggle, but that's brought us back to, where we are now, which is in the full arch realm. So we have amazing, cements for zirconia, cements for implants, amazing novel base liner materials, things that other companies don't have, or they have, I guess, 4th gen, we have 5th gen type products.
So you're So I missed some of that. So you're saying that after September 10th, 2008, Lehman's Day, which the market crashed, the the market changed from what to what? So how was it? How was it?
It was
Your
it
company
was
started what year? Was it 1951?
19, well, in one form or another, it was like 1938.
1938?
Yeah, right around
My
there.
God,
So we
you
were a
look
dental
good, man.
laboratory.
I would have never guessed you were born in 1938.
Well, it was my grandfather.
So it started in 1938, and how did it change after 2008?
So we were heavily vested in laboratory materials, and they were analog. Everything, there was a shift going digital. So CAD CAM milling was going out. 3D printing wasn't even on the scene yet. I mean, I think that's maybe started in 2014 or 2015 is really when that started to push. And we knew that we needed a new direction. So we didn't think that our lab materials were going to, last as too much longer. So we made a push into the cosmetic and implant side of things, targeting
So
dentists.
you went from milling and lab to
No,
cosmetic and implant.
no milling. We went analog. So we were doing pressables. We had spacers and die hardeners, mainly lab materials. We had some staining kits for doctors and silanes, a base liner, but really we were heavily vested in laboratory at the time, but not with the newer technology. Our products were not compatible with the newer technology. And then we moved into the, cement and restoratives aspect.
So you went from more laboratory to
Yes.
to cosmetic and
To cosmetic. Yeah.
So you kind of changed after Lehman's Day. You switched from laboratory to more cosmetic.
Yes. One really had nothing to do with the other. We knew that there was a shift coming, but when everything started rebounding, we noticed that sales would drop off. We would have, there were consolidations of companies. Dealers were buying other dealers out. We knew that the market was shifting. It all technically happened around that time. And about 2013 is when we made the initial shift in.
And what do you when I see the same consolidation, how old are you? Do you mind I ask how old you are?
42.
42. So how old were you? What year did I? How old were you in 1980?
I would have been 3.
Oh man, I thought I liked you. Now I don't. I just changed my mind. So let me say another. Well, there's a cycle then, and everybody knows the cycles. I mean, hell, Joseph.
Right.
I mean, what 28 of the 74 Nobel Prize winning economists all came from the University of Chicago. Most of them are Austrian descendants. The business cycle. You throw away money, expansion, contract, expansion. So 1980 was the worst. Then 87 contracted. Then Lehman's. Then there was the Y2K bubble popped, and then there was Lehman's September 2000. So you got the expansion, contraction. Everybody knows the business cycle, and that's never going to go away. But there's that other cycle that people don't talk about, the consolidation cycle, where when I got out of school, there was a dental dealer supply company on every corner. It consolidated all the Patterson, Shine, Benco, Burkhardt, and now they're back to there's a supply house on every single corner again.
Right.
They did it with beer in 1980. We didn't even know they were called microbreweries. We just thought they were breweries, but they all consolidated to Budweiser and Coors and Miller, and now that's back to a microbrewery. So I've lived through 2 consolidations, deconsolidations.
Mm-hmm.
How does that affect a dental manufacturer? I mean, dentists know how it affects them. How does it affect you when it goes from now there's a gazillion dental supply companies, but when you were 30, it was basically Shine. It was Stan Bergman as Shine. It was Pete Frechette at Patterson. It was the Benco boys, Burkhardt. How does that affect you?
I think diversity gives a better supply chain for the manufacturer. Having maybe the dealers are going to kick me for what I'm about to say, but having all eggs in one basket or in just a couple few, if something changes or another manufacturer comes in, it's very difficult to find like another supply line. another avenue to, I guess, sell out. So you need to have, the more diverse your customers are, the healthier the company. If you like, what we found is when the larger guys are buying the smaller guys up, we had a lot invested in the smaller guys, and then the line might disappear because the guy that was purchasing the person that we worked with all of a sudden didn't, they weren't carrying the line, or they were pushing someone else's product. So that's the one thing that you have to worry about with consolidation is the possibility of losing a line or not becoming as relevant.
And aren't they kind of abusive? Like they'll come out with a catalog and like you have to advertise in their catalog or you won't be carried. And
some are like that. Not all of them. Some of them really like to push the product or push products. Others don't. I know that there's been some catalogs where you have to really, pay to play, and we've experienced that. We do pay.
Have you experienced the deconsolidation? I mean, are you aware of all these new little dental supply companies popping up?
We've seen some popping up. I don't know exactly where the cut, like where these people are coming from. If they're ex-employees starting off and starting fresh with a new company, I'm not exactly certain. But I have seen smaller ones starting to pop up, and then they want to bring in, I guess, lines, so they'll call us.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, there's so many that have popped up. I mean, they're just they're coming on all the time. Another one, I should get a list of, but hell, I've podcasted a dozen. And what about Amazon? I mean, the last 4 times I've been at the Greater New York meeting, Amazon has a booth there. It kind of looks like the Men in Black. You got these guys with sunglasses on and the fancy suits. They're always there. Are they doing anything?
We don't do any work with Amazon. We knew that there would be some, I guess, pushback if we decided to do it. Maybe, if you're the first one there, you could get blacklisted. If you're the last one there, you might miss the boat. But I don't have any offense to Amazon. It's just one of those things where we did not want to disturb the herd, I guess, and do something new. We haven't gone down that route yet. But getting to your point of seeing Amazon at the trade shows, usually it's they take out the main, I guess, the main walkway. There's advertising above you, so where it calls out the number, it says Amazon this way, and it leads you to like a little office space, and that's how I've seen Amazon, at least at the Greater New York show. I haven't seen I think I saw an actual booth at the Chicago.
But there's even been, but see what he just said, kids. Listen to what he just said. To me, that's the fear. I mean, he doesn't want to be the first guy. He just said, quote, blacklisted. He doesn't want to get blacklisted. I mean, that's the fear of God, these big supply companies putting your deal. And they got their little butt spanked. There was a big lawsuit, class action lawsuit against Shine, Patterson, Benco, and Burkhardt. Did that change anything?
Not for us. I didn't really read into too much of it. I've heard a little bit about the lawsuit. That it was a buying club, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know here in Arizona.
About it. It never really affected us.
Huh. So nothing's going on there. So then hang on, you talk about an AllonX full arch immediate low surgery and materials successes. What can fail from a materials standpoint? So what is this AllonX? And what can fail from a material standpoint when you're doing these cases?
Sure. So AllonX is just, it's instead of a number, instead of all on 4, all on 5, all on 6, it's an implant supported framework that will have, either, just a couple teeth, or it could be a full arch, mainly a full arch. It could be also an overdenture that's using locators to pick up. With our material and doing these full arch restorations, what we've seen, and why a lot of doctors are switching to Stellar, is because there are these failures that happen during the healing phase. So once you go through the surgery, you have about 6 to 9 months that you have to wait for the implant sites to heal. And they use a temp arch during that time frame. You're not really supposed to eat anything. It's there more for aesthetics. You can chew light foods, but you're not chewing nuts or anything hard, because you want your bone to regenerate, and you don't want to have a failure. So if you bite something hard, what we've seen is that biting hard, or if a patient is a bruxer or a clencher, that some of these temporary arches that are put in place fail, and they'll break through. So they're using the products on the market are composites or bisacrylic. They're not really compatible with the PMMA arch that it's made of, and they require bonding agents. So what fails on a material standpoint is the interface between either the metal post that comes up, it's called a temp cylinder, that mates to a multi-unit abutment. That either pushes through, or it breaks at the interface between the resin and the polymethyl methacrylate arch. And it happens due to the forces of clenching or bruxing, or someone bit on something. And what our product does is does it without a bonding agent, and it lasts much, much longer than the other materials that are out there. But as far as failures go, it has to do with the biting. It has to do with the incompatibility of the product. Another type of failure that you might see is if, let's say, you're using a cold cure acrylic, which heat welds to these arches, because that's polymethyl methacrylate also, but it's got a very, 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 it just becomes part of the arch. If that patient is clenching so hard that he would normally break the arch, what happens is it's putting way too much stress through the implant line and into the bone itself. So if there's a failure with cold cure acrylic, you're doing damage to the bone itself, possibly the implants.
So, man, so much has changed. I mean, gosh, like when I got out of school, it was kind of the no one wanted to believe it, but gold crowns were going to be replaced by PFMs, and amalgams were going to go to this composite stuff. And here it is. Now I've lived through the other end. PFMs are extincting to zirconia. I mean, I remember when I couldn't believe the birth of this baby, and now I'm going to its funeral. Did you think you would see the death of the PFM in your lifetime?
Is it still dying, or is it just...
Every day they make less than the day before. Are you seeing different data?
No, I mean, I know that they're not doing PFMs. I know that there is ceramic to tie base. So if it's implant related, then it's different.
But you just said something in talking about it, the bonding between the post and the base. Remember Art Glass came out with that Art Glass, and then 2 or 3 years later, the art delaminated from the glass or whatever it was. And that was a big problem. Ivoclar, remember what was there? Targus Vectrus. I don't know what Targus means. I don't know what Vectrus means, but I know they freaking hated each other and separated and divorced at their first chance. And it's always that junction. So the thing I like, the thing that I saw instantly in zirconia is that it's monophase. I mean, you don't have metal, you don't have porcelain, you don't have all these different things coming apart.
It's heat cycling that causes the issue. So if you have cold, hot, things are moving and flexing at different rates, even if it's supposed to be stable, and it can cause a delam. With zirconia, the only thing that I don't like about zirconia is such a hard surface. I'm not the only one that shares the view. But I feel resin is just a little softer to the opposing teeth, but that's not where the market is. The market's zirconia.
Yeah, but the market, it's amazing. My homies, I mean, they shock me sometimes. Like, you know, when they look you in the eyes and they tell you their composites last longer than amalgam, you want them to pee in a cup to see, you know, are they on a drug or did they have a head injury? But they believe it, man. Humans, if I've learned anything from it, my two oldest sisters are Catholic nuns. I mean, humans can believe anything. And my God, they're just so they believe so. But I got endodontists saying that, you know, when you bit down too hard on something on a PFM, something could break. The porcelain could shatter off the metal. He says now the zirconia ain't breaking. So you know what's fracturing now? The root canal root. And all the old dentists and when I say old, I mean anybody who's 1 hour older than me is old. Anybody my age is in the middle, and anybody, but all the old dentists.
You're about what, 59?
I'm 57.
57.
And my God, those 58-year-olds, they can barely walk. And but they'll a 58-year-old endodontist will tell you, my God, I'm seeing more root fractures than ever before because nothing gives. And then you look at put your money where your mouth is. All mine are soft gold. I got 7 crowns, and it's all old school gold with zinc phosphate cement. I'm not going to some no-give zirconium, but who knows where the market will go. This minute stain. So minute stain, acrylic resin stains for temps and provisionals. How are you passionate about that?
Yeah, it's actually used in all the special effects, all special effects for a majority of movies that are out there. So Pirates of the Caribbean, I'm giving plugs that they don't like to share their photos, but I'm giving plugs to these guys. But Pirates of the Caribbean.
I know I had a big argument with this with
Joker
Jim,
and what's that?
Oh yeah, I mean it's tough because when I'm in Beverly Hills in LA, some of my friends, I mean nobody famous doesn't have a dentist. I mean the only people that wouldn't go to dentist. So many of my friends have some of the coolest before and after pictures of some of the most famous movie stars, but they'll never show it. No one will ever know it.
Right. It's weird. I mean, like it would help promote that product because, like I know for a fact a lot of the actors in The Walking Dead use minute stains. So the special effects it's the grime they need something that can characterize ugly looking teeth. And we have the ability to do that. It's meant to characterize temporary teeth to make them look natural. But in the special effects industry, it goes the exact opposite way, which is kind of that's a fun little niche market for us.
So tell me, I got a bone to pick with you though.
Sure.
It's been all fun and games till now, but now it's boxing time.
I'm in trouble.
No, but on these, well, it's confusing to the kids when they see companies come out with an implant cement, and then they read that the number one cause of implant failure is you didn't get all the cement cleaned off, and they're just like, wait a minute, what? I used the implant cement, and now you're saying it failed because I didn't get off all the implant cement. So what would you tell the kids?
So we developed that product is called Zero G, and we developed that product specifically because of the other cements that were being used. We knew there was a problem. I saw a Dr. Wadhwani lecture at the, I guess, New York Dental Forum, maybe 2014. And, this is just, again, when we got into cements, is we just launched our Fusion ZR, and I'm seeing cements causing this problem. I'm going, oh, crap, excuse my French. Oh, crap, what did I get myself into here? What do we, what do I have to look forward to? I don't want to have patients having problems. And it turns out that when you're using permanent cements, or even there's different aspects of it. If you're using a temporary cement or a permanent cement or a product called implant cement, either you can't see it in a radiograph, or it falls off, it crushes, it's left behind because you can't see it in a radiograph. And those are the temporary materials. And on the permanent side of things, because some docs don't ever want it to come off and they won't admit that screws loosen, they use a permanent cement. And what happens there is you think you've gotten all of it, and they don't necessarily take a post-op x-ray and they leave cement behind. The cement sits there. It gets the skin gets, the tissue gets irritated, and then you get an infection. And then over time, implant loss. So you'll see, you take an x-ray and you see like a dark spot next to the implant. Doctor goes in, does a flap, and sees cement left there. So that's the problems with the two different types of cements being used. And we developed this Zero G, which we claim is an implant cement. It has the retention of a permanent, the cleanup like a permanent, so you can tack it, peel it all away. It has high radiopacity, so you can see it in a post-op X-ray. And the best part about that material is that if anything is left behind, you can just flake it right off. So it cleans out completely. And that's the difference between our cement and the competitors, or what people call a implant cement.
So we talked about Stellar DC acrylic, Minute Stain, Zero G Bioimplant Cement, Liquid Magic. So next up, baby, Fusion ZR, and that's talking about this zirconium that I was just talking about earlier.
Correct.
What does that got you excited?
It does. So Fusion ZR was our first product when we came out in 2013 with the aesthetic line, and it bonds to all substrates. So metal, titanium, feldspathic porcelain, tooth structure. It's got everything. And the best part about it is it bonds directly to zirconia without a bonding agent or primer. So it has phosphate groups built into it that'll adhere to the open phosphate groups within the zirconia. So and some docs are like, you cannot bond chemically to zirconia, and that's just not true.
And some docs are metal-free crown. So this is an insurance coding deal. Is it a metal crown or is it a metal-free crown? And some dentists are saying, well, anybody who looks at the periodic table says zirconia is a metal. What do you think about zirconia? If someone's asked you, is zirconia a metal? What would you say?
I don't know. It would be a metal technically. It's not a rock. It's not porcelain. It acts like a metal. It burns. It melts. It's technically I'm not a chemist, so I don't know exactly what it's made out of. But I know zirconium is a metal, and it's a derivative of that. So I think a zirconium oxide is what zirconia is.
Yeah, it's number 40 on the periodic table. It's definitely an element. The problem is everybody uses compounds, and so when you start mixing, it starts changing the chemistry. But you're saying you can bond to it.
Yes.
And why do you think some people think you can't bond to it?
Different chemistry. So ours is a urethane dimethacrylate, and a lot of other companies out that say that they can't bond are resin-modified glass ionomers. I don't know truly why theirs is different as far as bonding goes. I just know that our chemistry has phosphates built into it. Majority of failures or delams with zirconia has to do with the try-in phase. So if you get saliva on your crown, it'll inert the metal. You won't be able to bond with it.
So is your staining kit called the George TAUB staining kit?
George TAUB Products and Fusion Company Incorporated, which the reason I changed it to TAUB Products is that George TAUB Products and Fusion Company does not fit on a business card. It's too small. That was the original name from, I think, 1953 when we incorporated. But again, we were as a lab, we were from the 1930s.
Because there's a thread. Well, first of all, if you just go to Dental Town and search TAUB, it'll pull up every thread talking about your product. And it's
sweet.
funny. It's funny how the first one guy says, "We'll try the George TAUB stain kit." So that's I was wondering where that comes from. And also, the reason I called you and you didn't call me is tips on making anterior temps. And this other guy says, you got to try the TAUB kit. Are paint on tints available for denture teeth? And they said, yes, you can use the George TAUB. In fact, if you were a townie, you would think that you worked for the George TAUB company. But I wish you would go in there and search TAUB and just tell them. I think some people are old school and they think, I don't want to go in there. It sounds like it's self-serving. But they just love it when people actually help. But if you do a search for TAUB on Dental Town, you pull up 26 threads talking about your products. And if you logged on there, the dog himself, and use your picture as an avatar and told him Howard sent you,
Sure.
they're not going to think you're there selling something. They're saying, Howard told me to come answer these questions. But it's they like being connected to the manufacturer. They love it. And it works in marketing. I'm like, remember when we were little, that old guy a long time ago, I like this shaver so much I bought the company. You remember that? And marketing campaigns by, Jobs for Apple. What founding fathers do commercials, it works 1,000 times better, as you see at the Cologne meeting in Europe. In Europe, nobody wants to see a middleman talk about some company's product. They go, well, why wouldn't you go to the horse's mouth? Then you come to America, and they're like, well, don't talk to him because he's selling something. And it's like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. Are you a volunteer dentist that works on the Indian Public Health Service? I mean, are you a volunteer dentist? No, I sell $50,000 rehabs. Okay, so when you sell something, it's okay. But when someone else sells something, now they're a whore. Oh, okay. That really makes sense to me. Americans...
Sorry to interrupt.
No.
I have to say that when I first got involved with social media, that my first experience was someone trash talking me because I saw what the problem was. They needed a silane, so they were having trouble bonding to porcelain. And I said, why don't you try a silane? That would be the best solution for you. And we have one. And then there was like a guy that got on right away and trash talked me. Said, he's trying to sell something. And that I went off of social media as a company for probably 3 months with my tail behind my leg, or tucked behind. And,
you try to help someone. Just if you just try to help them, and who cares? Right. I mean, when there's 8 billion people, I mean, what percent of the 8 billion people do you assume are just batshit crazy?
Oh, a lot of them.
Yeah. And
I'd say 50%.
And I always teach my boys, don't care what they say because you'll never know what the first 110 billion humans died before anybody even got their name. So all the humans pretty much lived in the last 50,000 years. 110 billion are dead. You're never going to talk to the 8 billion living today. So you're only hearing from the sample size of 0.00001. Right. And then you find out that person's crazy. Who'd have thunk it? They tell me all the time. Like I'll meet some guy in an elevator and I'll say, well, what do you use for this? And they'll say, I use Ultranet. And I'll say, well, why do you use Ultranet? Dude, I met Dan Fisher in an elevator at Chicago Midwinter. And I'm just like, wow, you're a doctor, and you use it because you met Dan in an elevator at Chicago Midwinter. Okay, but they're my homies, and I'm just telling you, use your face as your avatar, tell them who you are, and just try to help them. And if someone does make you feel bad, hit report abuse because we play baseball. 3 strikes and you're out. Right. And if anybody has a problem selling something, they have to prove to me that there is some volunteer dentist.
Now this was only the first time that I was ever on it. So ever since, and this is years and years ago. Now I got, I have an Instagram following, LinkedIn following, Facebook following. I have no problem going on to implant forums and speaking my mind.
So what is your Instagram?
It is, I have taubdental.com. I'm sorry, just at Taub Dental. That's my Instagram. And then I have my own
Instagram
personal.
is at
Taub Dental.
Dental.
And then my personal.
I'm so stupid. I spelled AT. God, I'm dumb. At TAUB.
Senior moment.
Dental. At Taub. Okay, Taub Dental. Okay, I'm following you. And then what's your personal?
Is J Taub Pimpin. PMPN.
J Taub Pimpin?
PMPN.
There it is, Jordan Taub. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so you're are you third generation? It was grandfather or dad you?
Third generation. Yep.
Third generation. I'm sure you were learning about dentistry at the breakfast table when you were eating Cheerios. My gosh. What advice? So a lot of the kids come out of school. They're 25. They're $400,000 in debt. They see old guys like me and your grandfather and your dad and say, "Ah, you guys were in the glory days, man.
Right.
Everything's changed." And and maybe so. But how do you think it's different for a 25-year-old walking out of school today than me in 1987?
It's a good
And what
question.
advice would you give them?
So the difference that I've seen is that everyone is connected on their cell phones, whether it's good or bad, whether they're looking at, looking up stuff while they're walking, let's say trade show floors, or if they're really just online on Facebook texting people, then that's a negative. One of the things that I would tell a new person that just got out of school is to put the phone down and listen to the elders, walk around a trade show floor, look for small manufacturers like ourselves, and learn a little bit more, because we have a lot of knowledge. We're not the big guy. We're not the one with the blingy looking booths or the 3 or 4 full page ads per magazine. That those guys have great products too, but you can learn a lot by stopping by and talking to small family owned businesses. Another thing to tell a new guy is to maybe not be on the phone during lectures, and I've had that happen. I'm sure you have experienced that.
Yeah, where you hear it the most?
Where?
I mean, I can't believe that now we're going to have to go back to socialism. I mean, when you have skin in the game, you're different. So when you go to a lecture, the person taking notes owns their office. The
Right.
person on the cell phone is an employee at Heartland or Aspen. They have no skin in the game. They don't care.
Right.
They see something hard. They're like, well, that's what endodontists for. Oh, that kid's crying. Get out of here. That's a pediatric. They don't care. They have no skin in the game. I mean, I tell every young parent, I said, I have 4 boys, if I bought them a bicycle, a present to give them a gift, they'd leave it out in the front yard. But if they paid for half of it, hell, they kept it in their bedroom at night. They were petting it to sleep every night. When humans have skin in the game, they're completely different. Look at public housing. You give them nice public housing. They break out all the windows and put graffiti because they're mad at the world. But if you would have sit there and said, hey, I'll subsidize, I'll see this $50,000 trailer home, I'll finance it to you. I'll cut the price in half and finance it on 10-year terms. They'd be on their hands and knees planting flowers and daisies all the way around it. Humans have to have skin in the game or they're not in the game. And there's so many as dentistry goes from an owner-operated model to an employee-only model, God save the Queen. I mean, because I know it's going to turn into a bureaucracy. It's going to be no different than the post office. And to put the post office perspective, FedEx was overnighting packages to every city in the United States before the United States Postal Service even thought they should respond to it. Right. That's how bad a government is. The same government that everybody runs to solve all their problems, So yeah, they're looking at their cell phone because they're not an owner-operator.
But they should be paying attention. Even if they're not an owner-operator, they have something to learn. You can make a lot of money being an owner-operator. But if you don't pay attention and you don't put your heart and soul into it, then you're going to not be the best dentist that you can be. And you can still make really, really good money doing it. I mean, I don't know if there are caps on salaries in large DSOs. I really don't know, or the sky's the limit. There's not. So
at least they're paid on commission.
Right. So the more you bring in and the more cosmetic and crowns you put on, the more you get paid. You can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year if you pay attention. You can make, millions doing implants. I mean, I think actually cosmetics still outpaces implants as far as how much you make, but that might be hearsay. So paying attention and putting the phone down to me is integral. The doctors of yesteryear, they don't really have that problem.
And I just want to say one thing. I want to be perfectly clear. This is all natural. I've had no cosmetic work. This is, I'm always accused.
You look great.
Yeah, I know. I'm always accused. I've had all these cosmetic procedures, and I swear to God, I'm all natural. I want to take a shot at your industry though, because we talked about Targus Vectorus, we talked about Art Glass. Sometimes when you jump on a new product, you're gonna stick your tongue. When I got a UMKC, you know what the best thinking of the time was? That when a beautiful girl came in, cosmetic dentistry, you want to do Duralon crowns and cement them with Dicor crowns. You remember Dicor?
It might be before my time.
It was Dicor crowns cemented with Duralon. So I'm like, I'm taking the classes. I don't want to say the instructor's name because it might get back to this guy named Bill in Clearwater, Florida. And my God, we did all those. Guess how many of them fractured and had to be replaced for free? Guess.
Right.
Guess. All of them.
All of them. All of them.
Every one of them. I would just
say 1,000.
And now you see this bone grafting material. It looks really cool. After you extract the tooth, instead of throwing it away, you throw it in basically this garbage disposal thing, grinds it all up, and that's your bone packing deal. And I thought, oh my God, that looks cool. But then I thought, well, I'm going to let the young, dumb kids try it first. Kind of like that cereal. Remember that Life cereal commercial? Hey, Mikey. Give it to Mikey. See if Mikey likes it.
Sure.
It's like I tell you kids, man, God, if you're an owner-operator and you set up your own practice and you're going to see all your recalls every 6 months until they put you in a pine box and lower you underground, you're going to stand behind all your work for probably 5 years. So jump on something new, and 1 year later it explodes. You're gonna redo it for free. So give them advice on what's hot and what's not, and how do you know the difference between bleeding edge and leading edge?
Ooh, I don't know if I have the answer for that. If it looks too blingy, it's like a used car salesman. I mean, that's the only way that I could maybe differentiate it. And it's difficult to say because everyone has their studies and everyone has, their KOLs that push it. But if it looks too showy and the best way to look at it is there's no failures and it always works and and you don't have to worry and you're going to have the best possible outcome. And that person is always pushing positives and never talks to you. He's like, you know what? If you think about it, I had a case that did fail and this is why. So they're not giving both sides. Then maybe that's a product that I would be wary of. And the way that I like to, talk about my products is it works in some certain circumstances. And I have a lot of doctors that are happy. And in certain circumstances, like, maybe something's happened here. Maybe we've seen a fracture happen during this instance, and then let the doctor decide whether or not he wants to take a leap of faith if it's a brand new product he's never heard of before or never tried. But at least give them both sides and not say that everything is hunky dory. You always want to give a mix.
One thing people love about social media, whether it be Dental Town, Facebook, podcasts, is when you're a solo practicing dentist and you practice all by yourself, you kind of wonder what everyone else is doing. I mean, there's 2 million dentists on Earth, and you kind of want to know, well, what is everybody else doing? So I like to ask guys like you that are seeing a lot of dentists from 30,000 feet. Do you see your temporary business going down because chairside milling is up? When it comes to implants, are you seeing the cementers are being replaced by the screwers? Let's start there. Do you see temporaries going away because of chairside milling? And who's winning, the screwers or the cementers in the implant worlds?
Different type of temporaries. So in the sector that I'm in, so the full arch, you have to have a temporary in at some point. It depends on the system that's being used. You could have a temporary in for 3 weeks before the final is milled. So it's like a very fast turnaround, or you have ones that are 6 to 9 months you're wearing a temp. So it really depends. old school temps. There's just new ways of doing it. I mean, I guess if you're milling and doing a single prepped tooth, you could technically turn around a zirconia restoration in maybe a day. I think that's what it is. So maybe in that aspect, you don't necessarily need a temp, or they just fashion something out of acrylic really quickly. As far as cement versus screw retained, it's a mixed bag. Some docs still like to have cement retained. Other docs are afraid of getting cement subgingival, so they go with a screw retained system. But actually, screw retained restorations are hybrids. They're abutments cemented in the lab with our material or someone else's material.
Huh.
So it's technically, that's what we call a hybrid. It's a screw retain used to be zirconia, either a single piece zirconia, or maybe it was a porcelain, sintered porcelain pressed onto a metal abutment. So it was kind of baked onto it. And now what it is that you have the restoration cemented onto the crown, and that cleanup is done before it leaves the lab. So the doctor is screwing that on.
You know what surprised me most about your website? Your website is TAUB, like an owl, TAUB, taubdental.com. You know what surprised me the most about your entire website?
What's that?
An eye wash station. It's like, where the hell did that come from? I mean, you're going through all this dental stuff and all.
Sure.
So tell me along your journey. I mean, it sounds like did somebody burn their eye in your backyard, or
no?
How do you end up with an eye wash station?
One of my father's weird things. He likes to have an eclectic mix of products. So, we're besides eye wash stations, we have microscopes. We sell a microscope line.
Really?
It's one microscope from the 80s. We've had this thing.
And how's that doing? The microscope line.
Microscope does great.
Now, where would that be under products? Would that be under?
If you're on my product page, which is a mess, and I have to rebuild my website.
Okay.
It would say microscope S302, I think it is. But if you're on the home page, if you scroll down to the bottom of that home page, it should be there. There should be a photo of it.
Let me go show all products. If I go,
which is a mess.
If I go show all products, would it be there?
It should be.
Oh, there, microscope.
Yep.
Okay, so stereo microscope S30011 8 and 16 power is designed for discerning lab technician, dentists. So tell us about the microscope.
It's a Olympus Optics microscope, very high resolution. It's analog. It's not a digital version type microscope, so you won't be able to bring it onto a monitor. We are looking into having a piece that fits into the head unit, and then being able to.
And what's the price on that?
I believe it retails $890.
$890.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's what everybody on Dental Town can't believe about a microscope. I mean, a microscope. I mean, all the endodontists want it for like 4 to 8x. But since it's dental, it's all $15,000 to $30,000.
Right.
And then you go to you drop your kid off at school, and you have to carry in the Valentine stuff, and they're having a biology deal all day, and their 4x microscopes didn't cost $15,000.
Right.
My God, you got to get on Dental Town and tell. I mean, what you ought to do is you got to go find. So let me just tell the kids real quick. The fastest way, I know that you believe a lot of what did I call them? I started a fun thread yesterday morning. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I said my thread is what are the zombie ideas in dentistry? And one of my favorite economists always talks about zombie ideas. Or ideas that have been thoroughly refuted by a mountain of research, but nevertheless they just won't die, and there's so many of them in dentistry. You will pay off your student loans in 4 years. Composites last longer than amalgams. Just do good quality dentistry, and you'll be turning around patients. There's all these zombie ideas. But I'll tell you, one of them is that you're born smart or dumb. There's no evidence for that. I mean, if you looked at a anthill and someone told you, see that ant over there? He's like a genius, and these ants over here are dumb. You're like, what? And where does that come from? You have no evidence of it. I mean, they'll say, well, Sir Isaac Newton was the smartest guy to ever live. He died a virgin living in his mom's attic. He lost all of his money from his textbooks or Principles of Mathematica, 1687. He made a lot of money. Lost it all investing in tulip bulbs. Albert Einstein, when Einstein got his Nobel Prize-winning money, you know what he did with the money?
What do you do with the money?
He gave it to his first cousin he was married to and told her to disappear and change her name and don't tell anyone he married his minor first cousin. And he published 3 papers, and the first one and the third one are still considered laughable. You know what I mean? So there's no evidence, but people just believe things for no reason. And I forgot where I was going with that. What were you? On the microscope. So this Charlie over here doesn't have gifted hands. He's not a Picasso. He's not all this crap like that. If you want to say, well, why does that dentist have higher quality dentistry than this one over here? The low-hanging obvious fruit is magnification. If this guy's looking with monkey eyes 1X, and you're on 2.5X loops, and he's on 3.5, you're going to see better. Endodontists will tell you, I don't want to stare through a microscope doing a whole damn root canal, but right before I get ready to obturate, the best ones pull over a 4X, and they'll look down at the tooth for 1 second, and sometimes they find a missed canal, sometimes they see one of them still filled with crap, and the smart people, you keep one eye on the patient, one eye on costs, and use your God-given brain to drive down costs. And an $800 microscope is a shitload cheaper than a $25,000 microscope. So you should find one single endodontist. And hell, I know you say you're in. I know you say that you're in New Jersey, but if you look at a map, you're like 1 millimeter from the star that says New York City. So in fact, your city's even covered by part of the red star. How far are you from Manhattan?
The office is technically 4 miles or something like that.
So you're
straight line.
So you're in New York City, man. You should find one product champion, endodontist, and say, hey, I got an $800 microscope. How can we make this quality control endo? Because everybody else doing it's like, oh, they're dentist. Did you say dentist? Yeah, it's a $25,000 microscope. And oh, did you say first grade kindergarten teach? Oh, well, now it's a $800 microscope. It's kind of like, how dumb are you first, and then we'll tell you the price. Gosh, you're so many things. I'm trying to think. What else are you? What were you hoping I would talk about that I never brought up?
I think you got pretty much all of it.
No, you did not explain hypergrip.
Oh.
What is hypergrip?
Hypergrip is a product that I guess you take a micro brush and you dip the micro brush into our product, and it makes the tip gummy. So instead of getting like a sticky stick, this is something that you do ahead of time. So you make 8, 10, 20, 30 for the week or month. It does not lose its stick over time. So like you could put it, do a lot at once and then have it for a year, put it away, and it picks up veneers or crowns. And it does it very well without leaving a residue. It's a little more analog. It's more back to our roots of
art,
do it yourself kind of thing. Not a, I've bought it already pre-done in a box and I'm just going to use this and toss it. Obviously you have to make it, but one bottle of hypergrip will make 400 plus sticky sticks.
And where is and then talk last thing, I'll let you leave. I know it's 5 o'clock here. What time is it in New York?
7:05.
And what time
I'll
does
talk all night if you'd like.
What time does the bar close?
I wish. I don't drink anymore.
So what's the cow lock baseliner?
It's CA lock. So for calcium.
Oh, CA for calcium.
Lock for lock in. The way that calcium locks or CA lock works is that it's adhesive to dentin, hydrophilic, and then when you cure it, it becomes hydrophobic, locks out moisture. It has adhesive properties that will allow it to bond to the calcium within the tooth structure itself. So it's self-adhering and it doesn't flake off. So if you've used a liner before and then you take a probe and it scrapes off, this will not do that. Why you don't want a liner to fall off is because when you build your composite on top of that, composite shrinks, and if your liner is just sitting there on the surface, the composite will pull the liner up a little bit, and you'll get your sensitivity in the tooth because it pulls moisture through the tubules. So that product solves that issue. It's also bioactive, so it has phosphates, calcium, and fluoride, and it helps promote secondary dentin formation.
And who is your main or major product champions? Like which dentist do you are always glad when they're out talking and lecturing because they like your stuff?
So you might have had him on last week. Christian Yeast is one of our biggest champions. Great guy, and he is a huge supporter of Stellar. He was pretty much one of the guys that got me involved in the AllonX side of things.
You know what I would recommend that you do, and this is just my deal.
Sure.
A lot of companies, Ultradent, just a lot of them. What's another one? But anyway, at least every year there's a couple, and they'll ask us. They'll say, who are the main townies in my backyard? And they'll invite them over. And it's pretty cool because a lot of these companies are chemists. They make stuff. They know how to do the chemistry and make it and package it and all that kind of stuff. But they're not dentists and they're not doing it. But anyway, it's pretty cool. I like connecting wet glove townies. And you could even do it on, you could post on Dental Town and say, hey, this is where I'm at. Or you ought to have a townie day. And you just tell them and get some townies over there, press the flesh like you're running for mayor, and then you got a lot of things. They'll show your products online, they'll be your buddy, and if they really love you, they'll tell you when you got to change something. I remember the first time I met Bob Ibsen, he was all mad at Rod Kurthy. And he called me up and he told me that Rod Kurthy said something on Dental Town. He wanted to delete it. And I said, well, I'm not going to delete it. He goes, oh, the hell you're not. He goes, if you don't, I'm going to sue you. And I said, oh, my God, thank you so much, Bob. I said, when big old Goliath sues little Davy, I said, you're going to make me a hero. I said, and then I'm going to tell the judge to go blank herself because I want to go in jail. I want to picture me behind bars and Bob Ibsen of Denmat with a jet sent me there. And he goes, that won't work, will it? And he goes, well, Howard, what would you do if you were me? I said, well, Bob, you got 3 jets. I'd send a jet down, pick up Rod Kurthy, and ask him why he's on Dental Town and why he's so mad or doesn't like your product. Well, as soon as those 2 passionate guys were in the same room yelling at each other, they fell in love with each other. And I remember the first time I met Bob, he asked me if I like core paste, and I said, no, it doesn't release fluoride. So he immediately called in his chemist from Berkeley, said, hey, come here, listen to this kid. He said, tell him what you told me. I just repeated the same thing. And Bob looked at him and said, can we make ours have fluoride in it? And he goes, yeah. He goes, okay, good. Go do that. Go make fluoride. So those guys that are on Dental Town that are, pressing the flesh, it makes everybody win. I mean, everything's a win-win. Right. I mean, if you make better products, we make better dentistry. If you make crappier products, we do crappier dentistry. It's not it's pretty simple. The better you get, the better I get, and then the patient lucks out. There's no way you can do worse and I do better and the patient wins.
That's what we pride ourselves on, actually, is a quick turnaround. So if there was a request for a product, and Stellar is one of those products where when we came out with it, we knew that it had a purpose. And when it found its purpose, we got requests to change this, a little of that, change the color, come out with something new. Our turnaround time for some of these changes was maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks at max. And then we went out to testing. So we have the ability to turn around a product, make a change on the fly without any repercussions that larger companies have. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on. That and we don't release products that are junk. I wouldn't bring it to market if it wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, hey, I thoroughly enjoyed podcasting you. This has been very fun for me. I'm sure my townies enjoyed it. So I follow you. It looks like you're a big. You said you quit drinking. I know you're a big mountain biker. So
Yep.
you just got all healthy.
Yes and no. I had a tiny little ulcer, and the doc said I had to, just keep it, get myself a little bit healthier. So that's what I'm doing. No spicy foods. Take a break
was the
from
ulcer?
a scotch here and there. What's that?
The ulcer in the stomach?
Stomach ulcer, yeah.
But I thought those turned out to be all bacterial, and they're treating those
Not
with
all of them.
antibiotics.
I had
H. pyloric?
Yeah, it's not. It's more of I used to have a lot of acid reflux. So it's one of those things, like I was born with a hiatal hernia, and that caused some issues over time. Now getting back to the mountain biking, I used to be a very avid mountain bike racer until I broke pretty much every part of my body doing what I love. So I got, separated shoulders, broken bones, dislocations, fractured back, everything, and I still do it. And over the summer, I have video of this. I just, don't know if I want to post it, although it is pretty epic. A crash off a 10-foot drop and damaged my hand and took it in the chest a little bit. And that kind of exacerbated my stomach issues somehow. And when I went in to see the doctor, he's like, you have, acid reflux and some scarring and an ulcer. So just it should heal itself, but you just gotta keep the drinking to a minimum. And I'm happy to do that because I'll in a year I'm gonna probably drop 30 pounds of beer weight, and I'll be happy.
Well, upload that video on Dental Town. We got the many bike threads. They love bikes and all that kind of stuff. I had a physical the other day, and my doctor told me I was overweight, and I said, well, I'm going to get a second opinion. He said, okay, you're ugly too. And hey, thanks so much for coming on the show, and I can't wait to see you on the boards. Answer some of those TAUB questions.
I will. I'm going to log on tonight.
All right, have a great day.
Howard, it was a pleasure. Thank you.